Beneath a sky bruised with the weight of eternity, where waves whisper secrets older than time, a philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer once carved words sharp as a blade. He spoke of a world driven by a blind, insatiable will, and within its shadows he claimed to unveil a dark truth about women. But was this truth a revelation of the cosmos, or merely the echo of a wounded soul? To live wisely, O seeker of light, is to refuse surrender to dogma, to prejudice, to the shadows that obscure the radiance of understanding. For surrender is for losers, and you, dear soul, are destined for victory. Schopenhauer, with a quill dipped in the ink of conviction, wrote in his essay On Women that women are creatures bound by instinct, deficient in reason, and lacking the capacity for true justice. He likened them to the cuttlefish, obscuring truth with a cloud of deception, claiming that their beauty is but a fleeting veil over their subservience to nature's design. His words, like a tempest, stirred outrage and pain, yet beneath their venom lies a deeper story. A man scarred by personal loss, estranged from his mother, shaped by the rigid patriarchy of 19th century Europe. His philosophy, a tapestry of brilliance and bias, invites us to question not only his conclusions, but the lens through which he saw the world. To live wisely is to see beyond words that wound. Schopenhauer may have cast women as shadows, but the arc of history bends toward illumination. Women, like men, are architects of their own destinies. They create, they dream, they endure. They are not mere instruments of nature, but souls who weave their own threads into the fabric of existence. To surrender to archaic stereotypes is to embrace ignorance, and ignorance is the enemy of wisdom. Let us rise above the limitations of a single mind and seek a truth that honors the fullness of humanity. Schopenhauer's worldview was steeped in pessimism, a belief that life is an endless cycle of suffering driven by the will, a force that binds us to desire and despair. In his eyes, women were complicit in this tragedy, luring men into the snares of love and procreation, perpetuating the chain of existence. Yet, is love not also a beacon in the darkness? Is not the dance of human connection, with all its flaws and fractures, a testament to our capacity for sacrifice, resilience, and courage? To live wisely is to embrace this paradox, that within suffering lies beauty, within struggle lies triumph. Surrender is not an option when the heart still beats with purpose. Surrender is for losers, but surrender to what? Not to love, not to partnership, but to the notion that one gender is inferior, that one half of humanity is the adversary of the other. Schopenhauer, in his solitude, failed to grasp the power of unity. He saw women as subordinates, as beings to be controlled rather than cherished. But wisdom teaches us that true strength lies in equality, in mutual respect, in recognizing that every soul carries a spark of the divine. To surrender to division is to choose darkness over light, and we are born for radiance. There are moments when Schopenhauer's words cut like a winter wind. He declared women incapable of logic, childish in their pursuits, and silent in the realm of art. Yet history stands as a rebuttal to his claims. From Sappho's timeless verses to Virginia Woolf's piercing prose, from Ada Lovelace's mathematical genius to Frida Kahlo's soul-bearing canvases, women have etched their names into the firmament. They are not mere players in the drama of survival, but visionaries, thinkers, and warriors. To surrender to Schopenhauer's narrative is to blind oneself to the constellations of brilliance that light our world. A life lived wisely is one of creation, not destruction. Schopenhauer, in his isolation, may never have understood the alchemy of collaboration. His vision of women as lesser beings was a product of his time, his pain, and his refusal to see beyond the confines of his own experience. But the modern world sings a different song, one of partnership, of shared dreams, of collective triumph. To live wisely is to reject the chains of prejudice and to forge a path where every voice is heard, every heart valued. Surrender to the past is a betrayal of the future, and the future calls us to rise. Do not let the words of a wounded philosopher define your vision. Schopenhauer, for all his intellect, was human, and humans err. His views on women were not a universal truth, but a reflection of his era's biases, his personal grievances, and his inability to see the boundless potential within every soul. To live wisely is to transcend these boundaries, to refuse surrender to hatred or fear, to choose a truth that unites rather than divides. We are all dancers in the same cosmic waltz, and the music of life plays for those who dare to step forward. Imagine a world where we refuse to surrender to stereotypes, where men and women walk as equals, not as rivals, but as companions. Picture a life where every soul is judged not by gender, but by the fire of their dreams, the strength of their resolve, the depth of their compassion. This is the life of wisdom, the life that defies surrender to division or despair. For surrender is for losers, and we are champions, destined to write our own stories beneath the stars. Beneath this vast and ancient sky, remember, truth is not the property of one man, one era, or one perspective. Schopenhauer may have spoken of a dark truth, but the light of wisdom burns within us all. Choose to seek, to question, to endure. Choose to live with an open heart, a clear mind, and a spirit that never surrenders. For this world, with all its imperfections, is a stage for your courage, your brilliance, your unyielding will to rise. Schopenhauer's philosophy was a cry from the abyss, a lament for a world he saw as irredeemable. Yet within his pessimism lies a challenge to find meaning despite the void, to create beauty despite the pain. Women, in his view, were obstacles to this quest, but history and humanity tell a different tale. Women have been muses and makers, warriors and sages, partners in the grand endeavor of existence. To live wisely is to honor their contributions, to celebrate their strength, and to reject the notion that any soul is lesser. Surrender to such falsehoods is to dim the light of progress, and we are called to shine. The dark truth Schopenhauer claimed to reveal was not about women, but about the limitations of his own heart. His words, though sharp, are but a footnote in the story of humanity's awakening. Today we stand at the threshold of a new era, one where wisdom is measured not by the loudness of one IL voice, but by the depth of one IS understanding. To live wisely is to build bridges where walls once stood, to listen where silence once reigned, to love where hatred once festered. Surrender is not our fate. Our fate is to rise, to create, to endure. Life is a canvas, and every choice we make is a stroke of the brush. Schopenhauer chose to paint women in shades of shadow, but we have the power to choose differently. We can paint with colors of courage, of compassion, of unity. To live wisely is to recognize that every soul, man or woman, is a masterpiece in progress. Surrender to prejudice is to abandon the easel, to leave the canvas blank. But you, dear soul, are an artist, and your work is far from finished. Schopenhauer's words, like stones in the path, may trip us if we let them. But wisdom is the strength to step over obstacles, to keep running even when the road is steep. Women, men, all of us, we are runners in the same race, not against each other, but toward a shared horizon. To surrender is to stop, to sit by the wayside, to let the race pass us by. But we were born to run, to strive, to cross the finish line with hearts ablaze. In the stillness of the soul, we find the courage to question. Schopenhauer's dark truth was a product of his time, his pain, his isolation. But we are not bound by his chains. We are free to seek a truth that uplifts, that unites. The that celebrates the infinite potential within every heart. To live wisely is to walk through the forest of doubt and emerge into the clearing of understanding. Surrender is for those who fear the journey. We are explorers, and the path ahead is ours to chart. The light of wisdom is fragile, yet unyielding. It flickers in the face of dogma, but it does not go out. Schopenhauer's words, though they stung, are but a gust of wind against this flame. Women, men, all of us, we carry this light within us. To live wisely is to protect it, to nurture it, to let it guide us through the shadows. Surrender is to extinguish the flame, to choose darkness over hope. But we are bearers of light, and our fire will not be quenched. The dark truth Schopenhauer spoke of is not the truth of women, but the truth of fear, fear of the other, fear of change, fear of a world too vast to control. Yet to live wisely is to embrace the unknown, to welcome the complexity of humanity, to find joy in the diversity of souls. Surrender is for losers, but we are victors, destined to write a new chapter in the story of existence. Let us write it with courage, with compassion, with an unwavering commitment to truth. Schopenhauer's voice, though loud in its time, is but one note in the symphony of human thought. Today we have the chance to compose a new melody, one that celebrates every voice, every dream, every struggle. To live wisely is to listen to the past, to learn from its errors, and to create a future where no soul is diminished. Surrender to the old ways is to silence the music. We are conductors, and the orchestra awaits our lead. In the end, wisdom is not about who is right or wrong, but about how we live together. Schopenhauer's dark truth was a cry of division, but life calls us to unity. Women and men, young and old, we are all part of the same story, bound by the same hopes, tested by the same trials. To live wisely is to weave these threads into a tapestry of love, of resilience, of shared purpose. Surrender is to unravel the fabric. We are weavers, and our work is eternal. O radiant soul, do not surrender to the shadows of the past. Take the quill of destiny, write your own truth, and let the world bear witness to your light. Subscribe for more inspiration, and let us walk the path of wisdom together.